Let's talk about a force that you are dealing with every single second of every day, even if you don't realize it. I'm talking about friction. It's this invisible hand that grabs onto things, slows them down, brings them to a stop, and, maybe surprisingly, it's also the force that gets them going. So let's jump right in with a question that I bet you've experienced firsthand. You're trying to move some heavy furniture, maybe a big box. That first push, man, it takes everything you've got. But then, once it finally starts to slide, it suddenly gets easier to keep it going. Why is that? What's going on there? The answer is all about the two different faces of friction. See, the key to solving this little puzzle is understanding that friction isn't just one simple thing. It's really a tale of two different forces, one that's in charge when things are standing still, and a totally different one that takes over once they're on the move. All right, let's set the scene. We'll call this the story of the stubborn box. Picture it. You're leaning into this heavy box, putting your weight into it. You give it a little push. Nothing. You push a bit harder. Still nothing. It almost feels like the floor is pushing back, right? Like it's actively fighting you. And you know what? In a way, it is. That initial fight, that invisible force that's basically gluing our box to the floor, has a name. It's time to meet the first character in our story, static friction. So, static friction is essentially the force of stuckness. It's what stops something from sliding the moment you start to push it. The really important thing to remember here is that the two surfaces are not moving against each other. This force only exists when things are perfectly still. And here's what's so wild about static friction. It's actually kinda smart. It's a responsive force. It's not just one constant value. If you push lightly on the box, it pushes back lightly, just enough to keep it in place. If you push harder, it dials up its own force to match you perfectly. But it can't do that forever. It has a limit. And that limit, well, that's the big climax of our story. It's that moment of truth where you give one final huge push, and suddenly, the box breaks free. That's what we call the critical breaking point. For all its strength, static friction isn't all-powerful. There's a maximum amount of force it can exert, a peak resistance it can put up. To get that box to finally move, your push has to be just a tiny bit stronger than that maximum grip. You have to overcome its strongest possible hold. And of course, physics gives us an equation for that. The maximum static friction really comes down to two things. First, something called the coefficient of static friction, which is just a fancy way of saying how grippy the two surfaces are. And second, the normal force, which is just how hard the surfaces are being pressed together. Think about it. Grippy rubber soles on concrete have a high coefficient. Smooth waxed skis on snow have a really low one. This equation basically tells you the size of the mountain you have to climb to get things moving. And right here, this is the secret sauce. This is the crucial piece of the puzzle. That number, the coefficient for static friction when things are still, is almost always bigger than the coefficient for when things are already moving. Just hang on to that thought because it explains everything. And just like that, the box is moving. You've made it over the peak of static friction. But the moment the box starts sliding, the rules of the game totally change. A brand new, weaker force takes over. We've officially entered the phase of the easy slide. This new force is called kinetic friction, and kinetic just means motion. So this is the friction that takes over once two surfaces are already sliding past one another. This is the friction of movement. Kinetic friction has its own formula too, and it looks pretty similar, right? But there's a huge difference. Unlike that smart, variable static friction that matched your push, kinetic friction is a constant. Once that box is sliding, the force of friction pushing back at you stays exactly the same. The resistance doesn't change as long as you keep it moving. So here are its key features. It always pushes in the direction opposite to your motion. And here's a weird one. It actually doesn't depend on how much surface area is touching. And most importantly for our big question, its strength is constant. It's just a steady, predictable drag. Okay, so we've met our two main characters. We've got static friction, the strong, stubborn one that holds things in place, and we have kinetic friction, the weaker but constant one that drags on things that are already moving. Now, let's bring them both together and solve this mystery once and for all. This table lays it all out. Static friction is for things at rest, kinetic is for things in motion. Static force is variable, kinetic force is constant. And that last row, the coefficient for static is bigger than the coefficient for kinetic. That's the punchline. And there you have it. That's the answer. It's harder to start pushing the box because you have to conquer that much higher peak of maximum static friction. Once you're over that hump and the box is sliding, you're only fighting against the weaker, constant kinetic friction. You climb the big mountain, and then you're just strolling along a much lower, flatter plateau. So it's easy to think of friction as just a pain, right? A force that always holds us back and makes things harder. But think about this for a second. Without the static friction between your shoes and the ground, how could you even take a single step forward? Without friction, how could your car's tires grip the road? Or how could a pencil even leave a mark on paper? It turns out the very force that stops us is also, in many ways, the only thing that allows us to move forward at all.